Hi, I'm Handy with DiamondBack, and I'm here with my family, Oliver, Rebecca, my wife, and we're about to head out on a cross-country trip in this brand new pickup. And it happens to be a 2022 all-electric F-150 Lightning. It's climbing.
I'm in this course right here. On the phone with the Can I call you back?
Hey guys, we made it to Salt Lake City. We're here to repo our Ford Lightning, which we left with Mike Glover. He probably broke it. If he didn't, we're gonna take it up to the mountains with our buddy Max Powell from Washington. Should be an awesome time. Mike!
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
How are you? Staying
Good.
warm?
Warming up? Good seeing you.
Good seeing you. I have your baby back here.
I see it.
Prepping the stage.
I'd like to say I miss her, but I don't.
Yeah, it was interesting. Interesting's like a good way of saying it was like horrible. No, it was challenging. It wasn't horrible. It was actually really fun, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of considerations now. My mind on EV is completely changed from what I thought it was going to be versus what it actually is.
What did you think it was going to be? Like one for one swap on all the, you're just trading fuel basically?
Yeah, I think the first time we tested it out here and we were ripping it back in the mountains, it was warmer. The cold has seriously changed and affected everything because the core of the vehicle is a battery, and the cold, because of the chemistry, is affected very much so. And when that happens, everything that you depend on, even the idea of like, what's my range? You can't predict it because it all changes with the temperature.
Yeah,
And,
I actually was looking at the app on the phone just to make sure I trust you, but I wanted to make sure I had a charge.
Well, there's no camera built in.
Yeah, right. But it was 100, we had 120, as of right now, we have 123 miles of range on about 80% battery. And in LA, on an 80% battery, we get 207.
Oh, wow.
And then in like Northern Cal, I think we were getting 198. But yeah, the idea that you're getting 120 on a full charge, basically.
You're gonna get down the hill.
Yeah, right. When you and I were going off road, it just felt so responsive and immediate torque, immediate power. Did you retain all that?
Kinda,
Okay.
except, look, there's a lot of things I like about it and a lot of things I don't like about it. And one of the things I don't like about it is in inclement weather, the sensors are determining everything. So all the sensors were covered in ice and mud. And so it was like glitching out. I mean, literally it was glitching out. It was telling me to shut down. It was telling me there's obstacles where there was no obstacles. So I would say it's a weather consideration, but it's also like cold weather. I mean, if you were mudding this thing, you'd run into the same issues, but it was problematic.
Yeah, right. So you said you like a few things, you hate a few things, you dislike. You didn't say hate.
No, I don't hate. I mean, it's interesting, but yeah, I got a couple things that I like about it, a couple things I hate about it.
What do you like the most?
I think the most is the ability to store a lot of crap. I mean, this is not like a standard EV, like think Tesla. Nobody's making the truck like this. There's other truck companies that are making it, but to have this much storage, I mean, to be enclosed, you got the DiamondBack cover, it's enclosing all this stuff. I would look at this as like, oh, I'm carrying lumber and all kinds of crap in here, right? That's rough cut stuff. But now I'm rethinking it and going, man, you could actually store a lot of hunting equipment, rifles, tactical stuff, like valuables, because the lock, we talked about the locking system, like this lock is indestructible almost.
Yeah.
Being able to lock that in is a big benefit. And also up front, it's super cool because you obviously don't have an engine here, and they have all this space, and like you told me before, it's like a lot of vertical space as well, which I think is beneficial. I think it's very different because most, whether the Tesla or the car version of this, you don't get the benefit of having these two options.
Yeah. I think one thing that impresses me, because I drove this thing out here, it's not just that they have a cavity that then you can fill with your crap. It's that they took an area that normally has an engine in it, and it's so well thought out. Like every little, there's a cool, like you can fill this with beer, I think. Is that right? yeah, like you can fill this whole thing, I think, with beer and ice, and that'll drain out.
Jacuzzi.
You got power in here, but even the tie downs, I think this, yeah, folds up like a divider. Like it's just every little detail. They said, look, so you used to have an engine. Like engines are cool. Let's do some cool stuff. So what about another con?
A con just in line with this is like if I'm pulling something and this is loaded down with a whole bunch of stuff, as the battery's affected, this is going to tax the battery as well. So who knows where you'll be. We loaded this up with a lot of gear because we were kind of testing the weight, which we know we tested it before on my Dodge. But as you load it up, you could load anything, trailer anything. You have the Tacoma strapped to this thing. But that in the summertime on the battery load is minimal. With cold added to that, it's almost impossible to kind of measure where you're gonna be. And I'm afraid that you'll end up being stranded in the middle of nowhere in a winter storm because it's the storm that we just had in the eastern part of the country, this bomb cyclone.
Yeah, right.
If you were in one of these, Lord,
Oh yeah,
that would be a disaster.
immobilized completely. Yeah, right.
A disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the interior?
It's super cool, but it's like driving an iPad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's benefits to driving an iPad, but there's no analog backups. So a lot of it, I was like looking online for analog backups because we were having problems with the sensors going off, and there's not really a way to run just completely analog, and so you're tethered to technology. Also, I don't know if this is true, but this is completely linked and plugged into SAT. So you're constantly getting updates and stuff. And so all the updates are being sent of your location and all that stuff. I don't know, man. I like analog turbo diesel trucks. I can get in and I don't have to worry about a software update and being the difference between going out backcountry and not.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of technology that's beneficial, but sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
It could be too much.
Yeah, I think if people aren't, I've followed you for years. I've read your gospel on preparedness. You know? And I think if people aren't plugged into that world, they might not get the importance of like redundancy or backup options for power, like an analog option. But yeah, if you're like, technology is great, but you'll rarely meet a guy who's outdoorsy who carries the new tech item, but like a GPS and not a compass.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I ran into that too. This pit in your stomach that you can't do anything about it. It's like you're at the whims
Helpless.
of Ford engineers and wherever they put the chargers. Yeah. And you're not a helpless kind of guy. So
I would
crazy.
I would hope that, you know, the hybrid version of this would have been perfect because there was in planning considerations, like we might get stuck and we might be in the back country. If you're in a city, that's fine, right? Because you have AAA, you have the ability to get charged, you have friends that can come get you. But if you're in the backcountry, you don't have anything.
Yeah, right.
And my biggest fear with this was everywhere that I wanted to take it, hunting, off-roading, overlanding, we potentially could be somewhere where we would be stuck. That's problematic.
Yeah.
One of the cool things is the drivetrain underneath. You know, and that, unlike a traditional vehicle with axles, a differential, you have just independent suspension, and that allows you to get in places that you never would potentially go.
Yeah, right.
There's a level of abuse we took this thing through, but that was to kind of like do the 10 years of what you would do in a normal vehicle. A normal vehicle wouldn't have lasted an hour doing the things that we were doing. It just wouldn't. I think the biggest takeaway with this is elevation, inclement weather of any kind, and cold weather certainly has a massive effect on the battery. Here's what I say. I will borrow Diamondbacks and just rip it. I would never buy one personally, but I'm super interested in it as an emerging thing in this country. But who knows if it will survive? There's a whole cobalt argument. There's a whole bunch of debates in it. I thought it was just fun just to rip it up.
Yeah, totally.
It's cool to think about for bugging out, bugging in for us. But outside of that, it'd be good in San Diego.
Yeah. Well, thanks a ton, man. I have the great fortune of driving this away from here, so I'll find out exactly how badly you damaged it.
Yeah, we'll see you in a few weeks by the time you get across the
I'll
country.
call you if I don't get across the country.
We'll just come pick you up in a diesel pickup truck.
Well, we'll find out how it does in Park City. We're heading to the mountains with a buddy. We're gonna do some winter camping. So after this like conversation about how bad it is in the weather, Like, yeah, let's take it higher up into more cold and dunk it in some powder. Why not?
Wow, that's gonna be fun. Good luck.
Or another word, fun or something.
Yeah, I'll have search and rescue on standby.
Yeah.
I'll come get you.